welcome back to one of my favorite spots in the city. We're at the Rose Gardens of Farmers Branch, here off of Valley View Lane, just east of City Hall. But today we're not going to talk about roses. I am super excited to share with you all that we have a garden here that has been officially designated as a Monarch Waystation. Earlier this spring, we partnered with Keep Farmers Branch Beautiful, the school district, which included Polk Middle School and Vivian Field Middle School, and we came out here on a Saturday morning, pretty dreary, and we planted this flower bed all up with plants designed specifically to bring in monarchs, to bring in butterflies and our other pollinators. I think you'll enjoy coming out and visiting. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the plants we put out here. In order to be a Monarch Waystation, you have to meet certain requirements. And when you think about it, they make good sense. Number one, you want a place that provides the caterpillars food. So we've got to plant plants that the caterpillars enjoy eating. We also need to plant plants that are going to provide the energy for the butterflies. So those would be our nectar plants. We need to provide a place that provides them safety. So we want to provide some type of cover for our pollinators to be able to escape the birds, say. And another one is we want to provide water. Well, out here in this location in the Rose Garden, we were able to satisfy all those requirements. While we are officially a Monarch Waystation, this bed was designed for pollinators. Did you realize that 1/3 of all the food we eat is dependent upon pollinators? And knowing that fact alone makes anything we can do in our own landscapes especially critical. I think you'll find several ideas here that you can take and implement into your own yards, whether you do a full-fledged Monarch station or you just provide a snack or two for our pollinators. Let's talk a little bit about the plants that we have out here. I'm going to start with some of the workhorses. Over here on this trellis, we have what's called a passion vine. And because the flowers are sort of tucked up under right now, I picked one so that you could see them. Incredibly beautiful and unique flowers. They almost appear to be plastic, but they serve as tremendous host food for the Gulf fritillarias. In fact, if you're doing everything right, you may walk out one morning and find that you hardly have a leaf left on your vine. That means that probably you've got Gulf fritillaria caterpillars that have just had a wonderful lunch, a wonderful dinner, and probably a wonderful breakfast as well. And it won't be too long before you see those butterflies around. And you know, I was talking about the caterpillars. Sometimes we go out to our plants and we see caterpillars and we feel like that we need to do some sort of control. Remember that if you are doing a pollinator garden or a butterfly garden, you need to allow for all stages to thrive. And that means sharing your plants with those caterpillars so that they can go ahead and form the chrysalis and then form the butterflies. The other workhorse of a pollinator garden is this Greg's Mist flower. It kind of looks like a little purple fuzzball. In fact, as I'm looking at this one right now, it has an insect on it, so we know it makes a good home. This particular plant will grow well in the sun or the shade. It does tend to move around, so you're going to need to do a little bit of manipulating it. Perhaps remove some of the plant material when it starts spreading too far. It's an easy thing to do, just something that I would caution you to stay on top of. In the fall, these plants will be totally covered with monarchs. Absolutely gorgeous in the fall. I've seen quite a few butterflies on them actually in the few days I've been out here sort of watching it to see what was going on. Another workhorse in the garden for pollinators is this butterfly bush right over here. It has this lovely lavender flower. It comes in several different colors. It comes in several different heights. So you can end up with a butterfly bush that's going to be 6 foot tall and 6 foot wide. Or if your garden spot says I need something smaller, then you'll find them dwarf, and you can get some that'll stay in the 2 to 3 foot range. Tremendous attractor for providing nectar for our pollinators. In gardening for pollinators, remember you want flowers blooming year-round. So when you come out to the garden and see what we've done, you're not going to see everything in bloom at one time. In fact, right here, I have a snowball viburnum. That's going to be an early spring bloomer. Hidden behind this beautiful cleome is a flowering quince. That's going to be blooming in January and February. Down the way, we have some sumac that not only will it provide flowers, it's going to provide interest in some fall color. This little plant right here is called a four-nerve daisy. It's pretty small in the garden, incredibly drought tolerant, but you're going to find that it will bloom almost all winter long. So as you're planning your landscape, think about the bloom season of the plants that you're planting, map it out, provide a progression of blooms so that when you get those pollinators in there, you're continuing to provide that nectar source. Do a little bit of research, figure out which plants are going to be good host plants for the larva. In other words, what's going to present the salad for that caterpillar? What is the caterpillar going to enjoy eating? And most caterpillars are very host specific, so depending upon the particular butterfly you're trying to attract, you're going to plant certain plants. Down the way, we have some butterfly weed, and that's where the monarchs will lay their eggs. Herbs are great plants for your butterflies. If you want to plant parsley or plant fennel, those will bring in the larvae. I talked about water. Up in the garden, we have water features so that our pollinators have a local water source, and we even have our creek down here. So we're sort of satisfying all of the requirements for our pollinators to come and stay. Don't spray. Remember, you're bringing in the insects. Our pesticides don't know the difference between the desirables and the non-desirables. So by going with the pollinator garden, you're agreeing to find that balance between the good and the bad, and sacrificing some so that our pollinators can proliferate. Please come out to the garden, check it out. We've attempted to get most of our plants labeled out here so that you can get good ideas to take back home. And go to monarchwatch.org for more information. Perhaps you're going to find that in your own garden you can be recognized as a Monarch Waystation. It's something that we should all consider. It's good for our environment. I think you'll have to look and agree it makes a beautiful garden. I look forward to seeing you out in our garden, and I hope that you have an amazing day.